Hey guys, we should be live. Hi and welcome to this awesome discussion. With me is my friend here from YouTube. Also, first collab together. Hi, Thunderbro.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. Oh, there's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, I
Just want to
stopped the
let you know.
sound. I stopped the sound. I'm just watching the comments so the stream is on.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm Thunder. I'm Thunder Bro. I make videos on just about anything. Anything that interests me between anime, movies, manga, video games, you name it. As long as I've seen it, yeah, I like to focus on the positive. I keep it to things that I like. So yeah, that's me.
Awesomeness. So, just to brief the audience, I was looking for a video for Vikings, and I found your video about Vikings in the other show, the Lost Kingdom, or the Last
Yeah, Last
Kingdom.
Kingdom and
Yeah,
Vinland Saga.
yeah,
I made a
and it
video on
was
those three.
pretty awesome.
Thanks.
So I was like, wow, this guy really knows how to tell a story and to compare things, and just awesome how you did it, and so many facts. You just get everything perfectly.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. My two favorite kinds of videos to do are one, comparing shows to each other, shows that are somewhat similar. I have a few videos like that, and the other is just talking about how history, like real life history, relates to media that I talk about. So I just talk about, like, for example, Avatar: The Last Airbender, how it relates to like real life wars that humans actually had. So like stuff like that. Those are my two favorite kinds of videos, but I do a bunch of things, including silly dumb videos. But yeah,
That's so awesome, actually. You got
thank
your
you.
niche. Okay, so I'm just gonna say hi to so many people in the chat. Hi to Supreme Comic Books Girl. I'm happy that you're here joining us once more. Hi Julie, Clayton, Zariche, Ivy's here, Michael's here, Clayton's here. Everybody are here pretty much, and they're getting more and more. So we are ready to start this. God of War versus Thor, and this is going to be Thor mostly from the movies.
Yeah, that's the Thor I know most.
Yeah, we have more of a info about him because he doesn't actually have all the powers that the comic book Thor has. There's some
Yeah,
differences. So first of all,
yeah.
what
I've
is
I've
your...
I've heard that comic book Thor is kind of overpowered. Like he's way different from the movie Thor. But we'll keep it to movie Thor because that's what we know, or that's what I know.
Yeah, exactly. And we have Kratos, that he's such a infamous guy from the games, God of War games, and
Mm-hmm.
they're very interesting because the approach to both characters is very different in terms of, Thor's is the Marvel version of Thor, is not exactly the Norse version of Thor, and Kratos is integrated between the pantheon of Greek gods, and then he goes to the Norse world as well. So that's also interesting thing
Yeah,
about
that's
him.
one of the coolest things about God of War is that he kind of transfers over from the Greek pantheon to the Norse pantheon. He like fights all the Greek people, he gets tired of them, and then goes to fight the Norse people, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, although they didn't actually explain how that happened.
Yeah, it's true. They never did.
I wish there were. Okay, what's your stand on all of this?
In what aspect? Like, which one is stronger, or what is the criteria here for what I'm judging?
Well, let's start maybe with with Thor and say what we know about him first,
Oh, okay,
about the movie Thor, and then what we know about Kratos' powers, and then we'll go from there, if you like.
cool. Yeah. We know Thor, obviously supernatural strength, of course. We got a lot of lightning. I think they both have lightning powers because I did. I want to again apologize. There's like a little bit of a gap in my knowledge here because I've seen almost all the MCU, but for God of War, I've only played the PS4 game, the most recent game. But I did some research on Kratos from the previous games because I didn't play the other three, and he also has some lightning powers. But I think Thor, it really envelops his whole being. So he has more elemental power on his side, and they both have. They can both throw their weapons and return it back to them like a freaking boomerang. So that's really cool, and so they both have that going for them. And but Kratos does have like two elements going. He has ice and fire because he can get the chains of chaos. I think that's what his name is.
Mm-hmm. The blades
So
of
they're both
chaos, there are actually
blades. Yeah.
three types of blades that change through the course of the games. First, ones that Ares gave to him, then Athena gave another, and then he got like the third kind, but in the latest games, I think that he got the first kind. That's kind of confusing, but yeah, they're similar. They're almost the same, you can say.
Yeah. So I feel like Thor has most. Does Thor do other elements? Because like obviously there's thunder and lightning, but was there anything else going for him, or did he just have like? Was lightning the only element he played with from the movies? I remember only lightning.
Well, actually, Thor can control the weather. I mean, the bad kind of weather. That includes wind and rain, along with the lightning. He can cause a huge storm and immediate change of the atmospheric, conditions, so to speak. He is connected to obviously his hammer in a very intimate way.
Yeah.
And I mean, the hammer makes him more powerful, but then in the last Thor movie, they established that he can kind of conjure that power without the hammer because the hammer was broken. He was able to call the lightning without the hammer, so
yeah, he still had abilities.
yeah, he still had that going for him. And then basically he is able to take that power and use it along with the latest weapon that he had in Avengers. That is the axe.
Yeah.
So then simultaneously he can control both weapons, and both weapons are extremely strong, especially the axe. So what to tell you? I mean, with the hammer he can fly, and he can really do a lot of things with lightning and to summon
so
huge blasts.
Thor has a lot more, I guess, elemental powers. Like Kratos has two elements, and Thor can even make himself fly with that hammer, right? Like he can basically fly. Well, I don't think Kratos has the power of flight. He can jump really high and stuff, and he can fight in the air, like when he fought Baldur in the all over the air, which was really cool, like right at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But he really can't make himself fly, so I feel like Thor's hammer is a lot stronger than Kratos' axe. So if we're comparing those two weapons, but Kratos has some other weapons he also plays with. So that might help him. Like if his axe is not comparing well to the hammer, then he can kind of whip out his other swords. He can get the blades of exile, the chains of chaos, all stuff like that.
Yeah, we are going to talk more about what Kratos can do with all of his weapons and all of that. But one important thing that we missed actually is the durability of Thor, how durable he is. And he is actually very, very durable. He has thick skin, literally. I mean, thick skin, as in he is almost impenetrable. But almost, he's not completely like, he's not Superman. From that kind of a point, so he can be hurt physically. That is for sure. He can be killed physically. He's also very old, like a few thousands of years, but they never establish how. I mean, not how, but exactly how old. Yeah, how old he is.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So we know that he can be beaten down and hurt. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
And Kratos. Now we can start with Kratos because everything about Thor is mostly about the power to conjure the lightning and to he has super strength, of course, and agility and all of those things, but they're kind of standard, so that's why I'm always forgetting about them.
Yeah.
But Kratos, he is much more, you can say much more in terms of everything that he can do. And he started initially, I mean, when you start with the first games, you just think that he's a man, but then you find out that he is the son of Zeus, so he's a demigod, but then he becomes a full god. and then he dies, and then he kind of, he gets
Yeah.
back from the dead and becomes God again in many ways, and he is able to wield all of those weapons given him by the gods to take the speed of Hermes with his, with his shoes and so many all of those things. So he's able to beat pretty much and destroy and kill brutally every god and his father as well. So from that point of view, knowing how many gods he killed, destroyed, and just, I mean, the defining factor that makes Kratos so different is that he is just relentless. He just goes and goes and goes and never stops. That's basically his
Yeah,
best
that's
power.
he's kind of insane, and I think like when you think about the amount of gods that he's taken out compared now, it's hard to compare gods in the God of War games to gods in the Marvel universe because power scaling is a big deal. But when you think about basically like godly beings, Kratos has taken out so many of them, so that's a good measure of his strength regardless. And we should also take into account that Kratos is like, not only does he have godly powers, and even like the chat said, he has wings actually, which is really cool. But he has godly powers and super strength, but he's well versed in like Spartan military tradition.
Yeah.
Like he's got Sparta historically is one of the most militant societies, one of the most well versed in the art of war in human history, and he was steeped in that kind of knowledge. So he has a good background in just how to fight, even without his powers. Like if he was a normal guy, he'd be a really strong normal guy.
Yeah.
So then you add godly powers to that, and he's really formidable.
Exactly, yes. So that's why I think that he's very unique in so many ways, and the fact that he is just brutal and he never stops, and especially when he gets angry, he's just so like a hammer,
Oh
on
yeah,
his own. He's his own hammer.
yeah, he's crazy.
Well, since we cannot cross the universes between, Marvel and the gaming world of Kratos and his Norse universe and his Greek gods, pantheon, and all of those things, I would say that knowing everything about Kratos and how durable, actually, he's very durable as well in terms of that, he can heal faster. Thor can heal, by the way. We forgot about that. But knowing all of that, I think that probably he's gonna murder Thor in a very brutal way.
He'll definitely try to. I think when you look at, we can compare their fighting styles. Like there's a really good video out there about how many fighting styles Thor has a knowledge in. I don't know if you've seen it. It's really cool. It's like he has knowledge of like 6 different fighting styles from around the world, plus brute strength. And we talked about how Kratos has like Spartan military training, and the guy that played Kratos in the PS4 game, the most recent game, he said that the Kratos fighting style is more straightforward. Like it's not as strategic as Thor. Like Thor really he knows how to fight in so many different ways. Like he displayed a lot of different kinds of martial arts, and that might give Thor a slight advantage if they're like just throwing hands, because they both got brute strength. But yeah, Thor might be better in a one-on-one fight.
That's very interesting. Although I'm just, my strongest conviction in this is just the fact that Kratos can take every god one-on-one and just make them, beat them to a pulp. I'm just thinking about God of War 3 right now, how he destroyed Poseidon like he was nothing, and that was one of the most brutal things I ever seen in a video game.
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
that's a good point. I mean, I'm planning to play the other God of Wars, even though they're really brutal from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But I'll play them one day. But I've seen clips, and he can beat gods like nobody's business. So can Kratos' just brute strength overcome Thor's more strategic approach? I think that's a really interesting question. Like
Mhm.
it's more of brute. It's like brains, almost like brains versus brawn. Like Thor, he's also really strong, but he has like he's got martial intelligence. While Kratos is just like raw, you know, like he just can't be stopped. But so it'll be really interesting to actually see that fight.
Yeah, and at the end of God of War 4, we saw that Thor was standing. I mean, not our Thor, but
Yeah,
his
there
Thor.
was a Thor.
Yeah, he went to
Yeah,
see him personally, but
that's
that's it. I mean, the game was done
that's cool though. Yeah, I
at
mean, we
that
can
point.
like some people in the chat said, we can settle this problem when the next game comes out. Although it's not necessarily the same Thor, but it'll be interesting to see if we can see an actual Thor versus Kratos inside of a canon universe, which
Yeah,
is
that's
really
gonna
cool.
be very cool. But because, before we started this, I did watch several videos to just remind myself of some of the powers and
Hmm.
of both characters, of course. And Kratos did have some strategic, I mean, that he was very accomplished soldier before he became god and before he killed Ares. So that's how he rose to the highest of ranks in the army because he was such a good warrior, not only with his brute strength but also with his strategies. And that is just something that we didn't see because his course of his life is just about the revenge and what he did to his family because of Ares, and then the hatred that he had for the gods, all of those things. That was just the focus of the games, but kind of, it doesn't mean that he's not a good strategy warrior.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point. Like, undoubtedly, he's been in so many fights. He's had to have learned a lot, and like I said earlier, he's steeped in Spartan martial tradition. So he's definitely intelligent when it comes to fighting. I guess like maybe his rage and like his proclivity to anger will make him be more straightforward as opposed to Thor, who's usually a little more composed in the Marvel movies most of the time, except for
mhm.
the one where he got fat and depressed. But hey, he recovered in the end. So,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah. So I feel like maybe even though Kratos might know he knows a lot of, he has a lot of martial arts knowledge. That question is, will he use it if he gets more and more mad trying to fight a really strong Thor? He sees a guy that's his match, right?
Mhm.
Because you've seen how Kratos can get pretty pissed when there's a guy who can really match him in strength. Like when Balder attacked him at the beginning of God of War 4, he got more and more mad the more Balder resisted. So I think it was really interesting when someone is his match, but he's more calm when there's a guy he can beat, like the Magni and Modi guys. He's not as angry when he fought them, from what I remember.
Yeah, well, I'm because you brought up Fat Thor. That got me thinking, Thor is not such a, I mean, he's a great hero, but because we saw him how he had to grow up as a man. He's not that mature mentally, I don't think, as Kratos is, because Kratos
Yeah, that's a good point.
went through so many, I mean, the worst stuff. I mean, Thor never went through losing his family and then to get on this quest to kill so many gods, and basically he destroyed the world in God of War 3. And the only one that was left was Athena, but she was also killed. She was just in another form, and the world was
Mm.
flooded. He went to the end of all ends, so to speak, so he can destroy his father and all the gods. So the world was in ruin because, of course, the world was counting on the gods' powers to keep everything in balance and running, so to speak. And he destroyed the world basically with his
Yeah.
rage and consistency and just being relentless. And Thor, just showed so many qualities that he's not that mature. First, he had to be mature when Odin first sent him on Earth, so he can
Mm.
be more like a man and the god that he's supposed to be, and all of that. Then he became depressed later on became fat, which is ridiculous
Yeah.
for a god. He's not god, but you know what I mean, for someone
Yeah.
as guardian. Even I don't think that they can get fat, but that's just my
Yeah, that was
theory.
weird. Surprised. You'd think
Yeah,
his metabolism could handle more
yeah,
food, but I guess human food is really the icing on the cake. It's perfect.
our food is the worst. Yeah,
Yeah, you made a good point. Thor, he shows a lot of immature qualities, like the amount of times he pissed Odin off in the MCU, and like they had arguments and stuff, and they got impulsive and stuff. So yeah, I think that's a good point. If we talk about like the Thor from the latest, from like as far as Marvel or Avengers Endgame versus Kratos from God of War 4, Kratos at that point has been through so much more than Thor has been through. Kratos is, like you said, he's seen like Kratos has seen like family members die, and he's committed some insane brutality. So the things he's seen and experienced versus Thor, who at that point is still, is still a relatively young man relative to gods, and he looks young, and he's still impulsive and has to and make some bad decisions and stuff.
yeah, exactly. Even when he faced his sister Hela, he still wasn't very mature, so he had to lose an
Mhm.
eye to wake up.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's a good point.
Yeah, so from that perspective as well, I think that Kratos will see him as, well, what is this young guy thinking? I've killed my father, freaking Zeus, that is thousands upon
Yeah,
thousands upon thousands of years old. Who knows, how thousand, how many thousands of years, and all the other gods are much more mature than him. And all of a sudden, here's this guy that. Just starting to really get into his own and really feel his powers. He lost his father. He did lose Odin, but that is where he started to be a bit more mature. And then he lost the eye and all of those things. And then he was fat, so he didn't get that mature even after what happened after Ragnarok. So that does not speak
yeah.
very well of him compared to Kratos that actually got more humbled and more wise with age. If we take the Kratos that we have now, in God of War 4, he's much more of a
Yeah.
figure that he's
Thor Thor will
seasoned.
Thor will definitely seem like a young upstart if Kratos if he tries to step to Kratos.
Hmm.
Like it'll be like, like you said, like, who's this guy, trying to step to me when, I'm this like old wise man, and you got this young dude who thinks he's hot shit. But yeah, that's a good point. So like they both kind of have flaws going into the fight, where Kratos will have a proclivity to anger, while Thor, he might not handle adversity. If Kratos starts to beat Thor's ass, then like, how will Thor react? Will he start getting depressed? Is he going to eat more? Is he going to get fat during the middle of the fight? Like, what's he going to do if Kratos is his match? It's like, oh shit, some guy that I can't beat. We saw how depressed and how badly he reacted to getting owned by Thanos in Infinity War. So what happens when Kratos matches him is a really interesting question.
Yeah, well, there's a really cool video, actually two videos, one of which I sent to you.
Mhm.
They made like CGI battle between Kratos and this Thor. And it was
Yeah.
pretty good. I mean, there's one ending and one alternative ending. I actually agree with both endings just because in this kind of a circumstance, how they presented the situation, Thor can win and the other Kratos can win. So the way that they did it, I think it's pretty okay both ways. It's a matter of circumstance, but if it's like really in the real world kind of a situation, I do think that just Kratos has more things going for him, and more experience and more powers even. If he can get his hands on the other weapons, even if he can't, he still has the axe, which is pretty powerful. and he still has the blades of chaos or exile,
Hmm.
depending on which of the blades you want to use, those from Athena or those from Ares, or you know, and from the other games. But even if we say that he has only those two weapons and the shield that he can summon whenever he wants, he's still very, very, very powerful. And to Thor, I would give his hammer and his axe as well. So both will have two major weapons against each other, and they're both are very, very powerful weapons.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. And we don't know relative ages. Like we know that at least in terms of their mannerisms and how they act, Kratos seems older, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's had so many more experiences versus Thor, who seems younger. We don't really know how time passes in both of their universes, so it's a weird comparison. But I guess in terms of brute strength, they're probably almost even. I would say like they're both. We've seen we know more of what Kratos is capable of because of the amount of gods he's fought. While
Yeah.
Thor has fought in the MCU, I mean, I guess he's fought uh, beings with abilities like gods, but I don't think we really ever saw him fighting the other Norse gods, except for Loki, which we know he can beat, and Hela. But we didn't really see him fight much of the pantheon, right? It
Yeah,
would have been
well,
interesting if he fought more of them.
indeed, but since you mentioned Loki and Hela, they pretty much defeated him in different ways, and he still doesn't know it. Especially what Loki does, how he
Hmm.
pretended
Oh
to
yeah,
be Odin, and Hela, Hela he defeated because of the other circumstances that happened, and he had to defeat her because there was no other way. But other than that, he was helped by the other characters, and
it's
there was
true.
no like direct confrontation until the very, very end. It's not like if she just appears and start fighting him, he's gonna survive that, because he probably won. He just, I'm not he, but she just broke the hammer in front of his face, and he's just
Yeah, that
stood
was that was
there.
insane. Yeah, there's not much
He
he could have done there.
well, he's
That's a
not.
good point.
He does not have the resolve of Kratos. That's what I mean. And even if Kratos lived a lot less in terms of time, just mere time or our perception of time, he just went through more stuff. No matter how much time he lived compared to Thor, Thor didn't had that much of experiences, so to speak. His experiences started when his father kicked him out of Asgard. Up to
Yeah,
this point, he was just this spoiled little brat, so to speak.
yeah,
Um,
that's very true. And like all the other aside from Hela, like throughout the whole MCU of what we've seen, like all the other major villains that he needed help to fight that he couldn't fight alone, like um, obviously Ultron and Thanos, people like that, and even when he fought Iron Man, like Iron Man is just some guy in human tech, right? When
yeah,
you boil it down, it's a guy with human technology, and they fought about evenly when Thor and Iron Man had a fight, which was a really cool fight. But it's crazy that a god is basically even with just a man with some nice gadgets, which is crazy. So Thor definitely has some work to do in terms of getting better. Even though he does know a lot of martial arts, maybe he needs to utilize them more. He needs to basically. It sounds very Dragon Ball-y, but like he needs to start training.
yeah,
And he could be stronger because he's a god. He has amazing weapons. He can basically fly with that hammer. So he can, and he has knowledge of other fighting styles, but he just needs to utilize them. And Kratos just has more experience. He's beaten more gods, and he has some really good weapons as well. So I think
yeah.
maybe
And his childhood. I mean, the childhood of Kratos started with him being a Spartan, fighting with his brother, and just be very competitive since a very young age. And then just he was in the army. I mean, his whole life since birth was soldier, 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 soldier. So I think that the difference is pretty huge in terms of the fact that Kratos had to grow up immediately and become a man, and Thor was a
Yeah,
spoiled brat when he was supposed to be a man.
that's
Right.
true. Yeah, Kratos really like he grew up in a brutal Spartan world, where it's all about war, war, war. So even not even just the training, but the mentality is different. While Thor grew up as like a member of a royal family, right? He's like, he's basically just like a spoiled prince. He's got everything he needs.
Yeah,
Although
he
I think
is. Yeah.
he does go to battle, right? Doesn't he fight in the other realms? But I mean, it's not that much compared to Kratos, who lived in a brutal war. I think Thor grew up in a time of peace because there was a peace between all the realms.
Yeah, Odin already established a peace and united all the realms, and Thor just
Yeah,
went to the frozen, whatever that name was, I just forgot right now, where the frozen beings were. He just kicked the hell out of them, and it was very funny for him. So that was like a game for him, basically.
yeah,
In Thor 1.
yeah. That's true. And yeah, those guys weren't. I guess those guys weren't very strong. But like, uh, yeah. So if you look at mentality, if they meet each other, it's like one guy who grew up basically in a war and then lost his family and then went from a man to a god and then fought gods, versus a guy who was a god from the start but grew up in like a really really peaceful time, and he didn't he didn't really have to fight, and he got everything he ever wanted and stuff. And he didn't start losing his family until like the events of the movies started happening. So I guess, and like a lot of them are, and I guess he finds other friends and family through the MCU and stuff. So versus Kratos, who just has, by at that point he's got one son. Everyone else is dead, and his son was evil for a bit, and it was really traumatic, and then he changed, and then yeah. So I feel like even at the end of the MCU versus Kratos at the end of God of War 4, I feel like they're still two very different people, even though they've both been through some traumatic experiences. Kratos still went through, I think, a lot more.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, that brings us to the conclusion that maybe, Kratos has a lot more chance just by the fact that he killed 500 tons of gods.
Yeah,
He grew up to be a tougher guy. He killed his own family because he was led by the rage of another god, and basically lied to, killed for him, all of those things. And that created more rage and more destructive power and more chaos and everything after that. It's just what is the Bulgarian expression for that? Like soup with grapes.
oh my god, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, which means that it's a big mishmash. But in a good way, in a very
Yeah,
entertaining,
yeah,
brutal,
yeah,
good way. I think
yeah.
we should look at the comments because everybody are writing and writing and writing, and let's
Sure,
see
yeah.
what we missed. Maybe we are going to have some ideas from everybody in the chat. Hi to Milkshake. Hi to Nikki, whose name here is Kratos.
Nice.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, brutal scenes. Chains of Olympus was the first on PS. Ah, yeah, that's the game. Okay. Yeah, I know that Kratos is Zeus' son. That's obvious. Oh, one other thing, when I watched the videos about the two characters in the last game, God of War 4, he went to a very freezing place not in Tartarus, but the equivalent of Tartarus from the Norse mythology. And they said that it was so cold there that even Odin cannot go there. But Kratos can. He can withstand the cold of that place. So that is extraordinary.
I didn't even take that into consideration. That's good. Yeah, that's Kratos
He's
is
crazy,
he's
crazily
pretty
durable.
hard.
Yeah. Okay, Ivy says Thor versus 18,000 gallons of beer.
There's also the debate of who can hold their liquor better, but I think the end of The MCU showed us Thor doesn't hold his liquor very well, clearly.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know. Someone said that Kratos has never really seen drinking, but like, hey, we only have a sample of one guy's drinking ability.
Yeah, I know. And about the Kratos war paint, the war paint is something that he put on himself. That is the birthmark of his brother, I think. And of course, the white of the skin is the ashes of his dead family, which one, like an oracle, kind of cursed him to wear the ashes. So to remind him of what he has done, so to speak. So that's pretty deep. I mean, those are
Yeah.
very interesting character arcs that Kratos has going for him.
Yeah, you see one guy who went through loss versus the other guy who went through loss. Like, look how Kratos handled it. He literally put his dead family on himself, versus Thor, who was really down and depressed for a while. He got out of it, which is good. But that speaks to kind of how both will handle adversity, right?
Yeah.
Then I guess Kratos, his mind is stronger. So it's interesting.
For sure, yeah, because he's able to take that and turn it into a power that he can project into the world, whether that is negative or not. But he's able to take that and get it out of him, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my own final verdict is, I think in terms of brute strength, they're almost even. But Kratos' experiences, his maturity, and of course some of the weapons he has at his disposal. He's got a few weapons. You put all those together, and I feel like once they start clashing, I feel like Thor will lose his cool faster. Like they might both get a little heated during the fight, but I think Thor will get less composed if they're even in strength, which is what I believe. So I would say once Thor starts losing some of his composure, he won't use the martial arts he knows. He'll be more straightforward. Kratos comes in. He's got that Spartan military education and just a mind that is more hardy compared to Thor. Kratos wins, and that's kind of my final verdict.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. And I will add to that my final verdict is also Kratos. Uh,
Cool.
because if, like you said, whatever actually Thor does, whether or not he's composed or not, Kratos is always focused on the fight. He never loses sight of his enemy. He never loses sight of what the enemy does, and he
True.
never stops coming and coming and coming. Even if he's very hurt, he's always trying to find a way to kill his enemy, and he tries again, and you can see that from that boulder fight from the beginning of the game, how he was losing, but all of that just made him more angry and more
Yeah.
persistent, and he tried to find other ways to hurt Boulder, and he was managing, and he was finding even more then and more,
Yeah.
and in the end he still got him. I mean, not in the same fight, but he still got him. So he
Yeah.
he will never change his way of fighting. He was even if he gets kicked by Thor, a hit with the hammer in the face, a hit with the axe. No matter what happens, he's just going to get up, and nothing can keep him down. That's the point. He never get
True.
like sad about that, or just losing his self-esteem about that. No, he's just going to go and go and go. So I think that that's pretty. Even that is enough to kill or win against Thor, I
Yeah.
think.
I think it's definitely worth mentioning. Like that Kratos, even when things don't go his way, he sticks to his guns. He has faith in his fighting style. He has faith in his strength, and he ends up doing the job. So yeah, that's a very good point that you mentioned. So yeah, I think we're both on team Kratos here. Even though I love Thor, I think I love Thor more as a character. Like for comparing the two, although I've seen more of Thor than I've seen of Kratos, so that's kind of unfair towards Kratos. I want to apologize to Kratos fans, but like, yeah, Thor, yeah. So Kratos wins in a fight, but Thor wins in a popularity contest. If that's any consolation, as a Thor fan, I'll take it.
Okay, well that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I'm a fan of both. I love both since I was a little girl, so to speak, and I grew up with God of War's all the games basically. And I don't actually, I just try to be basically objective, literally, no matter
Mhm.
how much I love one or the other. I just try to be fully objective here. So I don't, don't like, I would never say that somebody is better than the other just because I love them more or
Yeah,
whatever.
for
Just
sure.
gonna say what are the pros and cons of this one and what are the pros and cons of that character and who
Oh yeah.
wins if we weigh everything out.
I
So
I I definitely I agree with you. So because like I gotta be objective. I'm here to make a comparison, not talk about who I like better. Obviously, if Thor was real, he would smite me right now because all I've been doing is slandering his good name. But hey, it's the truth. I'm sorry, Thor, if you're real up there. My bad, bro. Love you, man. But Kratos will kick your ass in a throwdown.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, I think that if Thor is real, he's going to be much more high level of mind and being and is going to be a bit more above what we can comprehend. So movie
true.
versions is like his imaginary avatar from our perspective on Earth, I think.
Yeah. It's a
So,
scaled down version. He's
yeah,
like it's like he made a small version of himself and threw it into the world.
so to speak, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at the last comments that we have, some kind of a problem with YouTube sub. I'm not sure what you mean there, but I hope that it's fixed, whatever it is. One question from Michael. Uh, who would be more fun to party with? Well, basically Thor, for sure.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Easy, yeah.
Oh my God.
He,
Kratos would just be moping around. He'd just be like, "Why am I here? I don't want to
yeah,
be here.
brooding.
Yeah, just take me home.
Yeah.
Boy, let's go home.
Boy!
Let's get out of here."
Boy!
So
Where are you, boy?
Thor Thor would party until he blacks out. So, well, as opposed to Kratos, he just wants to go home and read or some shit.
He's too
So
sad to party, That's sad.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, he's not in the best state. I mean, it's kind of inconsiderate if he's partying while his family is dead.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah.
Well, that didn't stop him in God of War 3, 2, or 1 to bang everything.
That's true. He didn't think about his family then.
Yeah,
But in
yeah.
God of War 4, he's like, all right, maybe I'm being a little bit of a dick. I need to calm down.
I still remember when I had to play this part where he goes to Aphrodite and had to press buttons to. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
am I doing? No!
I've heard God of War has a reputation. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is he doing? So he is so upset about his family, but then he goes and bangs everyone on Olympus. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I guess since those games in God of War 4, I guess he matured enough where he didn't do that with Freya. Because I was totally expecting that with God of War's reputation. I'm like, okay, attractive female character has shown up. Kratos, from what I've heard from the people, Kratos is going to bang this lady, but it never happened. So I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, Kratos, you're mature now.
yeah. It took a bit of like a few thousand years, but he got there.
Yeah, he got there. It's like, you know what? Maybe I should calm down a little bit.
Yeah, he did. He did. Well, he had another wife. He remarried and he had his son.
True.
And he apparently he loved his wife, but we never saw her because she was already dead, which was kind of a pity,
Damn.
I think.
Oh man.
Okay, this was super awesome. I think that we
Thank you.
covered all that we could cover. It was a great conversation, so thank you very much for joining.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. Your channel's pretty awesome, and I'll be supporting you, and I'll direct the few subscribers I have. I'll direct them your way. You already have a new subscriber. I sent one of my friends your video. She's like, wow, she's got some cool content, so she subbed.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, and my people know about you now, so thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm glad that I got to come here, and the chat is very awesome. You guys are very fun, You guys have been very nice to me and hospitable, so thank you very much.
Yeah, everybody are amazing. And Michael, thank you for the donation. Michael, thank you very much. Really, thank you.
Yeah, see,
That's
look at this. This guy's awesome.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
create a very positive community with intelligent people here, so everybody are
Yeah,
literally amazing.
yeah. It's always good. Nice, supportive community, and that's awesome. And thank you guys. Thank you, Squashy Eyeball.
Yeah.
Squashed Eyeball, not Squashy.
Squashed Eyeball, yeah.
Yeah, Squashed Eyeball. Thank you.
Okay, you can, guys, you can check Thunder Bros channel. It's in the description already. And if you like Vikings and anime and other cool stuff like that, you can, of course, sub to him and support him.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much, and keep supporting Yeri over here, and yeah.
And we're going to think about something very cool to do for your channel, if you like. I'm all up for that.
Sure, I'll put something in mind. I'll see what I can do. I like to do these comparison videos, so I might get your opinion on something.
Oh, that's great. Just let me know what it is. I'm super hyped already.
Cool. Yeah, when I come up with something, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Okay, so guys, I'm going to come back with a Watch Dogs stream maybe in about 30 minutes. Just watch my Facebook. I'm gonna announce the stream very soon. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Thunder Bro. Until next time with me, Gary G Reviews. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.